Everyone told me I was lucky, that being needed, like that was love. But nobody warned me that the hollow crown of being indispensable is just a collar with better lighting. And by the time I felt it tightening, I'd already forgotten how to breathe on my own. Maybe you know the feeling. You're with someone magnetic, someone who chose you out of everyone. And slowly, so slowly you don't even notice, your world starts shrinking to fit theirs. Your laugh gets quieter because they find it embarrassing. Your friends become complicated. Your opinions, corrected. Until one day you're sitting in a restaurant and they order for you, and you realize you don't even remember what you like anymore. And here's what makes it worse. Everyone, your mom, your best friend, every relationship podcast tells you the same thing. Communicate better. Set boundaries. Stand your ground. As if you haven't tried. As if the problem is your technique. Not the fact that you're trying to have boundaries with someone who experiences your autonomy as an act of war. But I'm not here to give you another communication script that will fail in the car ride home. I'm here to tell you what actually happened to me, how I went from being someone's everything to being nothing, and how I rebuilt myself from memory fragments after I finally left. By the end of this video, you'll know the difference between being loved and being consumed, and you'll have the one question that reveals which one you're actually in. Because here's the truth I learned the expensive way. The person who needs you to disappear will never love you into wholeness. And if you're wondering whether that's your person, you need to hear what happened the night I finally stopped performing. I need to take you back to the beginning. Not the end. We'll get there. But the beginning, when it felt like being chosen. They saw me. That's the thing I keep coming back to. In a room full of people. They looked at me like I was the only one worth looking at. Have you ever been seen like that? It's intoxicating. It's also, I now understand, a kind of targeting. In the beginning, it was subtle. My laugh was a lot. Not bad, just a lot for quiet restaurants. My best friend Sarah was dramatic. Again, not bad, just exhausting. And don't you find her exhausting too? My ambition to start my own business was cute, but realistic about your capabilities, right? I didn't hear these as edits. I heard them as intimacy, as care, as someone who loved me enough to help me become my best self. There's an old saying, asterisk, the axe forgets what the tree remembers. Asterisk, I think about that all the time now. They were swinging so casually, and I was counting the rings of myself disappearing. I learned to anticipate their moods before they happened. I could feel the temperature shift in a room when they walked in, and I knew whether to be funny or quiet, supportive or invisible. I became the translator between them and the world. They're not angry, I tell the waiter, just disappointed in the service. They're not controlling, I tell myself, just passionate about things being right. My schedule became theirs. My body became a territory we negotiated, what I wore, how I looked, whether I was making an effort for them. My opinions became echoes. I'd hear myself say things I didn't believe, agreeing with takes that felt wrong in my gut, and I'd think, this is compromise. This is love. They call me their anchor, their safe place, the only one who understood them, and I wore that like a crown. I was the chosen one, the indispensable one, the one who stayed when everyone else left. What I didn't understand, what I couldn't understand yet, was that an anchor doesn't get to go anywhere. An anchor's whole job is to hold something in place, while everything else moves. I thought I was becoming their person. I was actually becoming their property. I just didn't know that the deed was being signed in every small surrender, every it's fine, every time I swallowed a but I want. And the cruelest part, I was proud of it. I was so proud of how much they needed me. I didn't know that need could be a form of consumption. That being needed could mean being used up. Here's what being needed actually looks like in retrospect. It's not dramatic. It's not movie montage abuse. It's absence. It's the things that aren't there anymore. I stopped finishing my certification because we need you here this weekend. I stopped painting because you're not that good anyway, and it takes time away from us. I stopped calling Sarah back because she's always been jealous of what we have. Can't you see that? 8 months. My side project. The one I dreamed about since college. Sat in a draft folder for 8 months because I was too busy being their emotional regulator, too busy anticipating the next crisis, the next need, the next thing I had to manage so they could function. And the exhaustion, God, the exhaustion. But it felt noble, like I was doing something important, like my suffering had meaning because it was in service of love. There's a proverb that haunts me now. Asterisk, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Asterisk, but nobody tells you that in the beginning. Nobody tells you that the person drinking from your cup will keep drinking even when you're dry, even when you're cracking, even when there's nothing left but dust. They'll just ask why you're not refilling faster. I thought I was building a love story. I was actually building a cage. And I was so busy admiring the bars from the inside. Look how strong they are. Look how much they need me to stay here. That I didn't notice I couldn't get out. The promotion I didn't apply for. The trip I didn't take. The boundaries I never drew. Each one felt like a gift I was giving. Each one was actually a brick. And by the time I felt the walls closing in, I'd already forgotten what open air felt like. It happened at a dinner party. Not a fight. Not some dramatic scene. Just a moment. We were with their colleagues. I was performing. I see that now. I was always performing. Being a charming partner, the supportive one, the one who made them look good. And someone asked about my business idea, the draft folder project. And before I could get my practice deflection, I felt something crack open in my chest. Just a hairline fracture, but enough. I said, actually, I'm still working on it. I think it has potential. That was it. That was the crime. I had expressed a desire independent of them. I had suggested I might be something other than their accessory. The temperature in the car on the way home was glacial. I tried to fill with apologies I didn't understand, and they said, I remember this exactly. You embarrassed me. You made me look like I don't support you, like I'm holding you back. After everything I've done for you, after everything I've put up with. And I sat there watching streetlights pass, thinking, but you don't support me. And then, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I did embarrass them. Maybe I was ungrateful. Maybe the problem is me. We didn't speak for 2 days. 2 days of coldness so precise, so calculated, that I felt myself physically shrinking. I walked on eggshells that turned into broken glass. I apologized for things I hadn't done. I promised to be better, to think before I spoke, to remember my place. And somewhere in that silence, a thought appeared that I couldn't unthink. This isn't a relationship. This is a correction. I'm being disciplined. But here's the thing about being property. You don't get to decide when you've been misused. You just get to hope the owner is in a good mood. And I was so busy hoping, so busy managing their feelings, that I didn't notice my own had gone numb. That night in the car was just the beginning. The real breaking came later. The words they said that I still hear in dreams, the moment I realized I'd been maintained, not cherished. What happened next changed everything. And if you're wondering whether your person would ever say something that cruel, whether they'd ever look at you like you were a failed investment, you need to hear what came next. Because the night I stopped being their mirror was the night I finally saw what I'd become.